You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Ray Donovan After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Ray Donovan After Show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for Showtime's Ray Donovan. Today, we're going to be recapping episode 6 of season 1, titled Housewarming. Again, I'm your host, Kennelia, and I'm joined by the wonderful
Shano.
Hey, guys. So, again, this is episode 6. Last week, me and Anna we were not here. Anna's still out. She's on vacation. But I'm back, and I did catch up on last week's episode, which was juicy. And this week picked up right where it left off. Bunchy bought a new home.
He did.
He bought a new home. It wasn't a really nice home, I'll say. He could have done better, but Bunchy seems to be a very impulsive guy. So the big chunk of the episode focused on them trying to get ready for a housewarming party, and they called in Abby to do some helping with the decorating.
She brought in 2 big boxes of decorations to add to the house, probably stuff that Ray and her had in storage.
And thank God, because without like the little flowers and her cleaning up the fold-out chairs, the house was a mess. Like, it was put together by guys. Of course, it was a mess. It was a mess.
By a bunch of druggy dudes.
Yeah, it was. So Abby came in, saved the day. But in order for her to get there, Mickey called her and said, "Listen, I know I'm overstepping Ray's boundaries, but I need your help." And Abby, being the loving daughter-in-law that she is, she came through, like Sean said, with a bunch of stuff. She decorated. And even at one point, Bunchy was talking like he was gonna return the house. Like, he was like, I don't know, I might just give it back or whatnot.
He's so indecisive.
Yeah,
and he's just so immature, especially for his older age.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like a middle-aged dude, but he's just, his mindset is not that of a middle-aged guy who has a lot of life experience, and it's just awful to see that. And even Abby's like, hey, that's not something you can do. You can't just return a house. Come on.
Yeah. So everybody was getting ready. Eventually the party started. People were there. It was a fun time for, mainly Bunchy and Mickey. They were getting high in the kitchen. They were drinking. They had strippers and prostitutes there. Who those other people were, who knows? Mickey probably found them on the street, whatever.
Random people walking by that he was like, hey, there's a party in here. Come on in. I
wouldn't be surprised if Mickey went door to door. Like, if he was like, hey, we're having a party. You want to come over? Even Terry's girlfriend shows up, and we'll get to that relationship later. But she came, and the kids came, Bridget and Connor, and they were brought to the party by little Marvin Gaye Washington.
And how old is this kid? Can he even drive a car? Does he have a driver's license? He didn't do a very good parking job. He got himself right up on that curb, and it was like, dude, seriously? He
has his permit in a Bentley. What is happening? Like, he's like, I'll take you. I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna get in like a nice little Honda. No, he gets into a Bentley and drives the kids to the party.
I wonder how long the ride took from Calabasas to get over to, where are they? Because they went through Hollywood. It showed them on Hollywood Boulevard, right? They were passing the Hard Rock Cafe and stuff, and so it must be somewhere probably near downtown LA.
I'm trying to think, like, even that neighborhoods don't really look like that in LA unless you go kind of out.
Probably, maybe, I want to say maybe like Echo Park area.
Maybe.
They could have been there.
Yeah. So, however long it took to get there, when they got there, Bunchy was excited to see the kids, and poor Bunchy, he was high. So as soon as he sees Connor, he tries to reenact the joke.
The half Nelson joke.
Yeah, the half Nelson joke on Connor. And you said something interesting when we were watching it. You said,
I said that it was interesting to see how Mickey, this is the first time that he ends up actually restricting himself, like, from telling these dirty jokes, these inappropriate jokes in front of Connor, because it's a joke about molestation, you know, and about like homosexuality, and he's like, okay, well, my grandson might be gay, so I kind of don't want to do that. And that was the first time where I'm like, whoa, he could be a good grandfather.
Yeah, he did, like, you know, draw the line right there. But Bunchy was still, you know, he was still at it. They flashed to another scene. Bunchy was in the background reenacting the joke on somebody else. So he was just all over the place. Bridget had a talk with her Uncle Terry about Marvin Gaye Washington. And it was Terry brought up something. He said, you know, your dad was not always as suave as he is today. And then Bridget was like, yeah, you know, like, basically now she's really a believer in Marvin Gaye Washington. It's
okay for her to be with him now. Like, they're making it okay in that conversation, and which is fine. But at the same time, we know that Marvin Gaye, he's like a troublemaker. Like, I feel like he just is no good for them. Like, he's smoking pot in their house. He's like, hey, your parents are away, let's just party. Like, it's an empty house.
He had Connor drinking. He had them smoking pot. I'm waiting for the day, and I don't know if I missed it. I doubt it. I hope not. I hope Ray jacks Marvin Gaye Washington up. Even with kids like that, the dad always has to, you know how they have that, like, it's always like that rumor or that joke where the dad is at home with a shotgun, and when the hoodlum kid comes to the door, the dad is like, really, who are you, and you're not going to be doing this with my daughter. Ray needs to jack Marvin Gaye up. He's just a bad influence.
But it's such a weird situation because he can't do it. Ray is in the whole situation is they gave him to Recon, and Recon's one of the clients for Lee, and they got to work with the kid. They got to work with, because he's worth money to them.
Yeah, I think he can do it in a dad way though. You know, he can say, listen, whatever you know, Recon or whatever, I don't care. If I catch you doing something with my daughter that's, you know, that's not out of line, then this is going to be business and not personal, and I'm going to do to you what I do to people in business. But whatever. Marvin Gaye is just getting out of hand. Like, every time he comes around, I'm like, oh, Marvin. It's always something. But Connor was at the party drinking. He was smoking now. Like, what do you think this is gonna put him on the wrong path, or do you think he's gonna be one of those kids who just like does it and he's like, oh, my grandpa had me doing this, and leaves it alone?
I feel like Mickey is trying to make him more of a man. That's why he's giving him beers. He's saying, oh, look, you wanna do that prostitute over there for a little bit? Just put your penis in just for 3 inches. You know, that's it. If you don't like it, you can take it out. But he's trying to bond with him in that way. But I feel like overall it's a bad influence, because giving a kid a sip of a beer is one thing, but letting him hang out with some random druggie on the couch who you don't even know, who you invited in off the street, and you don't know where that druggie's like lips have been, and he's just giving him the blunt right there. You know, it's come on, it's not a good situation for the kids.
It was all bad. That was bad. I agree. I think Connor is gonna now be that kid next year. He's gonna be defiant and just, you know, doing his own thing. Unfortunately, I hope that doesn't happen, but he seems to be enjoying this whole drinking and smoking thing. He's just, you know, he's a little too okay with it.
He does, and each time he ends up passed out or comatose in some way. When Ray put him in the car near the end of the episode, he was just like, his head's tilted up, and he doesn't know what's going on.
He doesn't. Even as a kid, when you get caught doing something you're not supposed to be doing, you're still a little fearful. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh man, oh dad. He was like, he said, where's your sister? And Connor was like, I don't know. Like, he didn't care at all. I thought that was hilarious. It was sad, but the fact that he just didn't care shows, you know, Connor was just like, whatever.
And Bridget actually ended up coming out of Marvin Gaye's car. What were they doing in there?
Probably getting frisky.
They're probably...
Marvin Gaye, he needs to go. He gets on my nerves. He's a kid, he gets on my nerves. But when that scene happened, Ray gets the call from Terry, and Terry, he's like, you know, the house, there was the fire, backtrack a little. Oh, I'm jumping the gun. Bunchy was upstairs, you know, christening the house with one of the little skanks or whatnot, the prostitutes. she was, you know, performing oral sex on him. And while it was happening, Bunchy had a moment and he flashed back to the past, and it was the priest.
Yeah, he hallucinated that the priest was giving him oral sex right there. And that's the first time we get to see how messed up Bunchy really is from his molestation when he was younger. Because this whole time, he's been going to the groups, and we see him, like, really somber and, like, not wanting to talk about it. Maybe, like, obviously he's doing so many drugs, and he's drinking a lot to get away from that stuff, but we never get to see inside his mind. And this time we get to see, wow, he can't even have sex with a woman. He can't even enjoy himself. He's probably like flaccid the moment that he sees that, and he can't. And then she thinks he's weird. Yeah. But it's not his fault.
It's not his fault. And the thing that I noticed too, which was really sad, the priest was young. And remember when we first saw the priest, the only time we saw him, he was an old man, you know, old priest. Looked like he'd been, you know, in the church for a long time. But Bunchy he was very small. If the priest was that young, Bunchy was a young boy. And the fact that here we are, maybe 40-some years later, and Bunchy is still dealing with this, you know, it's very unfortunate. And
you know what, though? Even though that was the priest that he saw hallucinating, remember that it probably isn't the priest that is actually dead now.
True.
Yeah.
True. Because it was supposedly the wrong one. It was his brother.
Yeah, the wrong Sullivan or O'Connor, rather. The wrong O'Connor.
Yeah. So Bunchy kicks the girl out. Well, she leaves. She was upset. And Bunchy has a moment where he pretty much just goes off the deep end and sets the room on fire.
He sprayed, what was it?
Where did he get lighter fluid?
Just randomly asked. Yeah. That's one thing the guy has is lighter fluid. So he sprays that Boston pennant, obviously symbolizing his connection to Boston and his molestation. And he just set the whole place on fire. If they let that continue, he would have burned down his new investment in this house.
Yeah. And he wanted it to burn. Because remember where Mickey, you know, he was like, what's happening up there? And then Bunchy was like, just let it burn. So Bunchy, you know, that took him to a very dark place. Even so, after the fact, he was just outside sitting in the corner with Francis on the ground, you know, all alone. Everybody left. He kicked everybody out. He was really taken there.
He could be anywhere in this house he bought, but he doesn't feel safe. He's just outside cowering in the corner of the fence in the yard.
Yeah. Yeah. Even throughout the next interaction, he didn't move. He just sat there. Ray pulls up. He got the call from Terry, like we said. Terry told him that the kids were there. He comes to the house. I knew Ray wasn't gonna shoot Mickey when he got the gun out of the trunk, but a part of me, what I wanted him to teach him some kind of lesson, not for the simple fact that because the kids were there, because Marvin Gaye Washington was clearly the reason why the kids showed up, but Mickey, it's just something, you know, I wasn't upset by what went down.
I'm glad that Ray pistol whipped him. Yeah. Gave him a nice fat bruise on his face with like a welt and just blood gushing out of it.
Yeah. And even with the kids, so the kids saw all this, they were very distraught, you know, as a young child, seeing your dad pull a gun on your grandfather and really look like he was going to kill them, that has to do something to them.
This is the first time they really get to see their dad do something really violent like this.
Yeah.
And in a way, he's working because Mickey's interfering with his work too. Yeah. Not only his family, personal life, but his work as well.
Yeah. Now my question is, I wonder, because did we ever hear Ray say around the kids about how they shouldn't hang with Mickey? Like, did it ever come up to them, or was it just with Abby?
I think he just has told Abby, and he just wants her to figure it out. He wants her to be just as strong as him and have the same opinion. He wants her to be on his team. Yeah. They are husband and wife, right? So she should be agreeing with him, but she doesn't. She's not supporting him, and she's just letting, like he said, she is letting the fox into the hen house. Yeah. And then now the fox, you know, now what I fear is going to happen is that the kids are going to be even more on Mickey's side. Because, you know, they, from the outside looking in, they don't really see what's happening. They just see Dad flipped out, he got mad, and he beat up Grandpa. Yeah, they're just going to think their dad's violent. They're not going to know that there's a history behind all this. Yeah. Mickey did something wrong. Ray had to protect himself and his family, and that's why he put Mickey behind bars. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they were so scared so much that they didn't even want to go home with him. Terry volunteered to take them home. So, you know, that I want to see what happens with this, because like I said again, the kids, they saw the reaction, but they didn't see what took the situation to that level. Even with, I wonder, how much do they understand, period? Like, Bunchy burned down the house. Like, this whole thing is just, it's a bit much for them. And considering the fact that Ray hasn't been home in however long, because, you know, when they were at home when Bridget was at home with Marvin Gaye and Connor, you know, Connor was like, what if Dad's comes home? And she was like, well, he hasn't been home. So, you know, who knows where this is gonna lead with the kids, because right now it seems like they're just fending for themselves.
Yeah, it seems like it. Abby's always out. She's doing her own stuff. She's helping Mickey, but yeah, pretty much the kids they've been probably left with money for pizza all the time, and that's all they do, and they're just getting into trouble, hanging out, doing drugs, and dancing, messing around,
getting frisky. Okay, yeah. I can't. That just angers me so much. It angers me. But let's talk about Van Miller, because he had an interesting storyline in this episode. We all know, of course, that he's been tracking the entire family. We first thought it was just Mickey alone, but once we saw his creepy little basement apartment, office, we saw he was really after Ray, Ezra, and everyone involved in that.
Everybody in Ray's gang.
Everybody in his gang. They found out, and he didn't know he was slipped LSD in his coffee. But that was awesome. Like, that whole situation was awesome.
You're right, Kennelia. That was such a funny scene. Everything from him being such the perfect OCD type guy. Van Miller just goes into whatever, a Denny's or whatever kind of cafe he goes into. He takes out his plastic spoon and fork, and he doesn't want to use the napkins they got there either.
He had his own napkin in a Ziploc bag. Come on, sir.
And then we had Avi sitting next to him. He's so OCD that Van Miller is so OCD, he doesn't realize the guy he's been investigating him is right next to him and slips him some LSD. And it was just classic everything that happened afterwards.
It was. He was mocking him to a T, too. He stirred it, you know, his coffee the same way, put the spoon on the same side, switched his coffee like you said.
Even though he was mocking him, in a way, I didn't feel like he was mocking him, but it could have been that way too. However, I felt like he had to do everything exactly like Van Miller did because he was so OCD that he would taste the difference if there wasn't two equals in his coffee, right?
True, and stirred the exact same way. Good point. That's a good point. So, you know, he finishes his breakfast, gets in the car. And when this was happening, I was like, is he wasted? And I think you said he was on LSD or something.
Yeah.
Did you? You pointed it out.
Right away, I said, they're putting a liquid into his cup of coffee. I'm thinking LSD, and I'm having flashbacks to, like, other things I've learned. Like, that's what the FBI, CIA used to get, like, as a truth serum back in the day when LSD was first developed. So
oh, wow.
I was thinking, like, okay, maybe they want him to be this high and this messed up so they can find out more information later on when they interrogate him and find him.
Yeah. So he gets in the car, drives. He gets pulled over by the cop that we met last week when Ray needed to find Ezra's car. And, you know, Van Miller gets out of the car. They had him on camera basically looking drunk to the naked eye. He said to the cop, "You have a really nice voice." Yeah. He was like, what are you talking about? Put him through the sobriety test. Clearly he failed, but instead of taking him to the police station, he took him home. Now when he got home, he comes downstairs and he, you know, all of his little toys were on the ground. He started flipping out. The Star Wars characters were stabbing him in the hand. Like, this whole scene was hilarious to me.
And I think one of them was a Tommy Wheeler character.
Was it Tommy Wheeler?
It looked like Tommy Wheeler, and he was climbing up the wall, jumped off. Yeah, he stabbed him in the hand. There's like a James Bond little action figure walking towards him, and all of them. It reminded me of Small Soldiers. If you ever
did, yeah.
Yeah, that movie. And the only one that didn't do anything to him was the Luke Skywalker action figure. He kept that near him when he was huddling under the desk.
Yeah, he got under the desk with Luke. And then Ray comes downstairs. And you know, Ray was talking. It was like a father child. It was like how a father would talk to the child if the child got drunk and you know something went wrong. He was like, you know, how are you? And what did he ask him? Do you have some type of weird fantasy or fetish with these toys?
He said, "Do you want these action figures to be fucking you and beating you up?"
And he said,
"Maybe."
That which was hilarious. So he was talking to him, told him to basically call off the investigation, took a huge chunk of his hair because, like we heard in the episode, LSD stays in your system for 6 years.
Yeah, which actually, it's kind of funny that they just chopped off a bit of the top. I would think it would be closer to the root. They would want to take the actual root because I'm pretty sure that it's in a line of your hair. Like it's going to be in a segment of your hair.
Yeah, well, usually when you do a standard marijuana drug test, when they do cut close to the root, but I'm not sure, how many inches off of the scalp, what's the limit. They took a whole wad though. Yeah. Hopefully they catch something, but Van Miller pretty much said he didn't care anyway. When he sobered up, he called Ray. He said, go and F yourself. Go F yourself. So that deal's off. He doesn't care anyway. But again,
I was figuring that I think the whole thing that Ray wanted to do behind doing the LSD and getting him in his basement like that and threatening him and having stuff against him with the LSD in the hair was they wanted Van Miller to be in their pocket, just like all the other cops and other attorneys, FBI agents, like Frank in the beginning of the episode, that they have on their payroll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw, flash back to Frank. Frank got kicked into the water. We found out that Frank tried to, like you said, get Ray and his crew in trouble before, and it obviously didn't work. So I wanted Van Miller, we're in for a ride with this guy because he is ballsy.
For a really weird OCD guy, who has a mustache almost like Hitler in a certain light.
It's so creepy.
He is proving to be a problem in Ray's side. He has good resolve for his stature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a ballsy guy, and so he's not going anywhere, anytime soon. But one thing that came up while we were watching the episode, Deontay, he was in the hotel. Deontay was one of the athletes that Ray helped first episode.
The NBA player.
NBA player, and he was at the hotel. Why does everything go down at this same hotel? And why, if they have a client, do they automatically send them there? Now I'm starting to wonder, okay.
They might get comped at this particular hotel.
Maybe.
And they happen to have ears and eyes everywhere, including cameras and bellboys that are working for them. Yeah. But apparently there's some bellboys who are not working for them. They're doing some shady stuff too.
Mm-hmm. So Deontay was having fun at the hotel, cheating on his wife. he thought he had everything under control because later he said ass and mouth. That's all, he thought that was just the end all be all.
He got it figured out. That's his contraception right there.
Even though he has 2 other children, Deontay the second, and Deontay the third.
Deontay
Jr. and Deontay the third. But there's some sting operation going on with Deontay, and who knows who else, what other athletes. The girl's pretty much, Deontay is a sperm bank. Yeah. They have a whole setup. She pulled the cup out of the champagne, the thing where the cooler thing.
The ice bucket.
Yeah, the ice bucket. And put it back into the ice bucket to keep it cool. This was an elaborate operation.
She wants that sperm to survive. I wonder if it's for her or if it's for someone else. She might be getting paid just to give it to some person who's going to inseminate someone else later on.
You know what? I would think that it would be for her, mainly because Deontay, he seems like he's a little dumb, but whoever gets pregnant by Deontay and wants child support at least has to prove that they had sex with him. And she was there. You know what I mean? It'd be kind of hard to say that some other girl wasn't. They have cameras. You can actually, track the girl going into the hotel room with Deontay. So I would hope that it would be, for her. But you never know. Deontay doesn't seem like, he seems like he has a couple glasses missing from the cabinet. So you can't, you never know. He looks like he'll fall for anything. But the guy, in the hallway, took the ice bucket, takes down the sperm, and puts it into the back trunk of a limo. I'm like, this has to ride in style, like this whole they have to transport it in luxury.
They have significant resources. That's why I'm thinking. That's why I want to say, Kennelia, that it may just not be her that's in on this whole thing. It may be someone else behind it too.
Oh no, I think it's an elaborate operation. They had the sperm being transported in style. Like, who does that? They had a black car. It was like a black car with a driver, not some like seedy guy with a polo shirt, you know, coming out of his like Jeep Cherokee. No, this was like the real deal. But Ray was in the back seat, choked the guy out, and you know, told him to leave Deontay alone. But Deontay, like I said, he's a ding dong. So I think this is gonna keep happening. If it happened, this is the third time.
I feel like him and Ray have kind of the same problem because they both have sex addictions in some way.
True.
But Deontay's is a little bit easier for him to get over that stuff because he makes $30 million a year. He's an NBA player. It's kind of expected. Whereas with Ray, he doesn't have that many resources.
Yeah.
He's not making $30 million a year. He's probably making $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, or a little bit, or at least six figures. You know, for being a mob guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ray has his own, you know, issues, which, you know, we'll get to. But in regards to Terry and Francis, so last, you know, episode, of course, Terry took his relationship with Francis to the next level.
Right away we see them boning,
beating it up. Okay,
yeah.
He was tapping that. And, you know, Terry, he you know, he seems to he was really digging Francis, and he wanted to spend more time with her.
He fell for her really easily.
He did fall for her really easily. And then today, they had the housewarming party. You know, earlier they said Terry's girlfriend, you know, Terry has a girlfriend, and he was like, nah, she isn't coming. Did Terry invite her to the party, or did someone else invite her?
That's a really good question. I feel like he probably did. And because it didn't really show it happen, huh?
No.
Either that or we were taking our notes and we didn't pay attention.
No, it didn't. It wasn't it wasn't a phone call.
Yeah.
It wasn't someone else calling. She just kind of knew about the party and came.
Yeah, so she got invited, and he was surprised that she came, which was a pleasant surprise for him. But he maintained his silence about seeing what he did last episode, that she has a family and she has a husband.
Yeah, she has a family and husband. But do we know that's her husband? Maybe that's her like creepy brother.
Maybe.
I don't know. You know, we never know. But it probably is her husband. So she's there, you know, having a good time. But I feel, you know, I just feel really bad for Terry, because even when she came, he was still happy that she was there. He didn't seem like, he seemed bothered for all of 10 seconds. And after that, it seemed like he was just happy that someone was there, you know, to be there with him and to hang out.
He just liked having her around, I feel. But he doesn't, like we talked about before, he doesn't have that much game. He doesn't know how to impress the ladies. And we got Marvin Gaye over there showing her how to dance. And Terry's not doing anything but sitting down and talking about how much he likes her and he may marry her.
Yeah, which is not going to happen. Well, I won't say that, but...
I don't think it will happen this season.
Oh, yeah, and... Well, if Terry doesn't if he doesn't balls up, it's never going to happen. Because at some point, he has to say, as a man, listen, Francis, you're not going to just be having this husband while I'm here acting like you don't have a husband. Because otherwise, you know, he's just going to be the doormat.
Yeah.
She already blows.
She's using him.
Yeah, she is.
She may not be getting good sex at home, so she's like, hey, this guy, he works out, he's a boxer, he owns his own fight club. I want to hook up with him for a little bit.
Well, you know, Terry doesn't seem like he's going to stop it because, you know, he like you said, he seems like he just wants somebody around. Everybody needs affection, you know, everybody wants companionship, and she is that for Terry, whether it's right or wrong. You know, we'll see how long that lasts, though. Now, on the sadder... But before we get to that, guys, let me just talk about iTunes real quick. Thank you, everybody who commented, rated, everybody who's subscribing. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. But again, for those who have not, please, you know, leave us a message on iTunes. Go on, click on, give us 5 stars. We read all the comments. Throw your theories out there if you guys have, you know, suggestions about where you think, like if we missed anything, like just let us know. Just talk to us on there. We'll even talk back to you. But again, in case you're not familiar, go to iTunes, type in Ray Donovan AFTERBUZZ TV After Show, subscribe, keep downloading. We have other shows on there as well. There's Dexter. We have WWE after shows. Their reality shows, Real Housewives, The Game. All kinds of shows are there available. Tell your friends, tell everybody, and thank you guys so much again for hooking us up. Keep us at the top.
And also, if they go to iTunes, they should type into the search bar Serial Buddies or Adventures of Serial Buddies. Awesome indie comedy movie comes up, and you guys will for sure enjoy it. It's starring Maria Menounos, written and directed by Kevin Undergaro. We got all kinds of cameos by guest stars. Christopher Lloyd, Christopher McDonald, Artie Lang, Kathy Lee Gifford. It's pretty much, if you want to sum up this movie, it's Dexter meets Dumb and Dumber mixed together in this awesome indie film. The movie's only $5.99. Go ahead and download it and check it out. And you know what? It keeps the lights on for us. Am I right, Kennelia?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's a good movie. Like, you know, it's a funny movie. If you want to, you know, have somebody come over, hang out, date night, watch Adventures of Serial Buddies. It's hilarious. And we're not just going to say that. It really is funny. So, guys, again, thank you. Now, one of the sadder storylines of the episode, Ezra has a brain tumor. And poor guy, before, you know, I'm not sure if they even mentioned that he had a brain tumor in the past episodes. But
the very last one before this tonight, they did.
Yeah. And I was like, what is wrong with him? I just thought he was, you know, like, you know, some old people, they start just to get a little senile.
Just getting dementia.
Yeah, and they get a little weird. But he really has something going on.
And that completely explains everything now.
It does. It does explain everything. And, you know, he went to the hospital so they can take a look at the tumor. But Ezra disappeared. So, you know, when we saw him out of the hospital, you know, first thing we were like is like, oh, Ezra. Oh, he ran off.
He's gone.
Yeah, he ran off. But Ray found him.
Randomly.
Yeah. Did he randomly find him? Hanging out with some stranger and his puppies.
Yeah, and he wanted to take the guy's dog off his hands.
And the guy was like, I didn't tell him they were for sale. Like, he was just there hanging out with the dog.
Tell your dad to bug off.
Yeah. So Ezra sits down and, you know, with his whole butt out because he still had his hospital gown on, no underwear, sitting on the park bench on a bus stop, having a conversation, and Ray, you know, assured him that everything was going to be okay.
And he said that he wanted to leave something to Deb, who's been loving him and supporting him all this time, even though Ezra keeps saying, oh, Ruth, she was my one true love. I'm leaving everything to Ruth, the foundation. But Ruth's dead.
Yeah, she's dead. And Deb has been getting the shaft because, you know, imagine, you know, from Deb's point of view, she takes care of him. She's there. He's going crazy. She's, you know, chasing him down. She has to listen to him talk about how much he loves Ruth and see all of the things that he's doing for Ruth after she's done. And Deb is still around. So, you know, she takes a lot. And it was, you know, I'm happy that Ezra finally said something about what he's been doing. But even still, what are you going to do? Get her a dog?
That's
like,
all he wants to do.
You going to get her something that she has to now take care of again? Like, that was weird.
He cares more about Ray. Ray is like a son to him, and he always wants to have him around. He's like, where's Ray? Even though she's there for him in the hospital when they're doing the whole consultation, he's still like, where's Ray? I need Ray to be here. In a way, like, obviously he's like protecting him. Mm-hmm. He will be able to explain everything to him, even though Deb just as well could do the same stuff.
Yeah. And, you know, after the surgery, Ray was there. Because like you just said, he's like a son to Ezra. He was there waiting when Ezra woke up. Ezra seemed to be at least 50% better already. You know, he was talking clear. It didn't seem like he was all over the place. He seemed, you know, kind of clear about what was happening. And Ray gave Ezra the lowdown about Mickey. He told him, you know, the FBI is after us. And there's nothing we can do. He said it's over.
And Ezra replies, oh, well, we have to kill him.
Just like that, too. It was so simple for him to say this.
It was the most clear thing he said in the last several episodes.
Mm-hmm. It was very clear.
And Ray was like, oh, okay, I'm on board with this. But, you know, he had to think about it a little bit, and he was like, okay, but how are we going to do this? And Ezra even came up with another good answer.
Yeah. And Ray said, you know, yeah, I understand. Pretty much he said, I understand we need to kill him, but he's still my father.
Yeah.
So, Ray, you know, there is some love there, or at least, you know, some type of respect, or maybe a little, you know, guilt, because it has to weigh on you to put your dad behind bars for 20 years. And, you know, we've seen lately Ray breaking down about, you know, we're not sure what, probably everything that's going on in his life, but now he has to deal with potentially killing his dad or having his dad killed. His dad has a connection with his brothers. His dad has a connection with his kids. So it's not just about, now it's not about Ray, you know, fixing the problem with work. It's about, I'm going to be responsible for killing my dad when everyone around me seems to love him but me. That's, to me, that's going to be, you know, that's where Ray is going to have to walk the line. But once Ezra said, you know, we need to kill him, he threw down, which was, to me, it was like the zinger line. He
said we need to find somebody who hates Mickey more than us.
Yep.
And they don't say anything. They're there sitting thinking about it. But it gives us a shot at the end of the episode of James Woods, who is going to be playing Sullivan, who everybody's been talking about, the guy that got the $500,000 stolen from him by Mickey.
And when he said someone who hates him more than we do, I was like, who could that be? Like, I didn't even think of Sully, probably because we haven't seen him. He's just, like you said, been this guy whose name has been thrown out all, you know, 6 episodes. But we saw him jamming out to America's Funniest Home Videos with his wife or his girlfriend, whoever.
And that damn song just got stuck in our head.
No, yeah, now I'm like humming it like do 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 whatever. But
that's like the old-fashioned one.
It
right?
is.
Oh,
it's not the new one either. This is the old one from the 90s.
Yeah, that's the one that we like grew up watching, and oh my god, listening to that stuff.
Yeah. So the previews gave us a little, you know, info about what's happening. Ray's going to Boston, leaving the kids and the family again.
He wants to get Sully involved.
But it doesn't seem like Sully's too welcoming of Ray either.
No, but because he's a Donovan.
He's a Donovan. But for my thing, this is my question. Not even a prediction, but my question. If Ray had that much problem with his dad to get him locked up, wouldn't people at least know that Ray has a problem with his dad? Because that's not something you hide. When it's to that level, people kind of know, like, yeah, the Donovans are a little shady, but Ray doesn't fool with Mickey. People kind of know this. So how is it that if that's the case where Sully, you know, is like, oh, he's a Donovan, nobody knows that Ray hates his dad? Like this, I don't know. It's just me working out some stuff in my head with the idea of this, but hopefully we'll see sooner than later how it all plays out in the backstory with Ray and Sully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Right. Yeah. So let's get into some news and gossip. Sean, you got anything?
AFTERBUZZ TV News.
I sure do, Kennelia.
Okay.
I got some tweets here, some really juicy ones from Carice Dorsey, or Carice Dorsey, at Carice Dorsey, who plays Bridget on the show. So she's pretty active there on Twitter, which is really good because it gives us something to talk about. And she tweeted, "Hey guys, so I'm in Lake Como, Italy. Anyone have any suggestions of what to do in this gorgeous place? X for a kiss."
Right.
And we got a lot of people suggested stuff to her, which is pretty neat. People, fans tweeted at her. They said George Clooney has a villa there. Ask him. Laugh out loud. People told her to get do some Italian pizza and definitely the pastries, etc. Have fun. They also said check out Jungle Raider Park and Greenway del Lago. So it's cool that fans were able to give her some advice. She also tweeted, "What up? It's Ray Day." And a fan, Susan Mahoney, tweeted at her, and they said, "It's Ray Day and Dexter and the Killing." And she tweeted back saying, at Susan Mahoney XO, darn good lineup, right? So she must like all those shows.
How could you not, though? Showtime, they always have good shows.
Oh yeah, Showtime, and then The Killing's on AMC. So AMC and Showtime, great shows overall, of course.
Yeah. All right.
We also had a fan on, I didn't get to write down their name, but we had a fan who missed you so much last week. They commented on our YouTube channel saying, "I want Kennelia back."
Oh,
I could not hold down the fort well enough for you and Anna being gone.
We're back. We won't leave again. And so let's get into some predictions.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I predict that Marvin Gaye Washington needs to get thrown off a bridge. No, that's not really what I predict. He's a kid. But, you know, this trip, I don't have a good feeling about this Boston trip. I mean, I think Ray might get some answers, but I'm more concerned about the fact that he's just gonna up and leave his family and they're already in shambles. Like, you pistol whip your dad, you go to Boston, your dad is still around, and now he's mad that you pistol whip him. So what is he gonna do to piss you off? Hang with your family.
Yep.
So I predict that there'll be more shopping days or more fun time with good old Mickey and the kids and Abby.
I predict that Sully is going to be reluctant to see Ray. He's probably going to have his strong-armed guys go up to Ray once he touches down in Boston, maybe try to force him out of town. But I think he's going to eventually, within next episode, agree to allow Ray, or rather to give Ray assistance.
You think he's going to try to kill? You think he's going to try to kill Mickey?
I think they will. By the end of the episode, I feel like Mickey's gonna die. I've said that before.
You think so? Okay,
yeah.
Let's see. Oh, man. Okay. So, guys, thanks for tuning in once again. This is the AfterBuzz TV After Show for Ray Donovan. We will see you next time. And where can they find you, Sean?
They can find me at Sean Austin O on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can find me at Kennelia, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. See you next time.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.